Chubu here, and Smash Brothers. You know it, you love it, you've probably raged at it. It is a classic game for all Nintendo fans. Overall, just gaming fans. I feel a lot of people have played Smash, even if it's just casually. And I, of course, love Smash Bros. I've 100% Smash Ultimate. It is one of the games of all time. And one thing we all can agree on that is awesome about the game are the references and the love and care put into each and every character, down to their alternate costumes, for the most part. Unfortunately, a lot of characters have either Smash original costumes, or the references are kind of lost with time. Whatever the case, the alternate costumes definitely are probably one of the weakest forms of referencing the source material and just general characters that you could find in the game. And while this is not to, harp on the actual Smash team since they put a lot of work in, I do think there are more creative ways to approach designing the alternate costumes for each of the characters. So, what I'm going to be doing starting today and moving forward, I'll be taking a look at every single Smash Ultimate fighter, looking at their costume options, and figuring out what works and doesn't work, and how I would personally go about improving the references and general costume preferences. This is all my opinion, of course, so if there's anything you may not like, obviously let me know in the comments. If there's any other good ideas you have, also leave in the comments. Subscribe. I will be doing this per game, so that I'm starting with a 64 roster. I was going to do all of them in one video, but unfortunately it was just too much to do in one take, so I am splitting up across different videos, but don't worry, they will be coming out soon. So subscribe, stay tuned, it's happening. Anyway, I'm going to just jump right into it. Starting up first, we have Mario. Of course, Mario has all 8 costumes. Every character Smash Bros. Has 8 costumes. I won't be going back to any previous games, because I know some games have scrapped costumes, of course. But here are the 8, and for reference, I will be showing all of the reference material, if they have some, and like a little image in the corner as well. So we have Mario in his base suit, Mario based off his costume in NES Open Tournament Golf, an outfit inspired by what he looked like on the box art for Mario Bros. On NES. This outfit is kind of lost as it's sort of changed color over time, but it's based off Foreman Spike from Wrecking Crew. Also, another costume based off the cover art for Wrecking Crew, then one based off Waluigi, Builder Mario, and Wedding Mario. They all do have references, but a lot of them are kind of older, and while that's not a problem, the issue kind of comes in the fact that a lot of the Mario characters share similar reference material. So, we're getting rid of a lot of them. For one, Waluigi I just don't think works here, should be saved for Luigi. And the other ones are simple palette swaps, of course, but they all reference box art, and especially with more modern games like Odyssey, he's had different outfits that have reappeared. So while we can have classic ones, of course, I do want more variety in what we're referencing, because a lot of these characters have such great history that we could be pulling from. So in Mario's case, we're taking a few special ones. For the simple color swaps, we're bringing back Fire Mario. It is a classic that was in the older games but got replaced for Wedding Mario. I do think we can just have both. Fire Mario is iconic as can be, and I really like it. On top of that, we also have his Odyssey outfit based off of his classic color scheme from the NES era. While you could say it maybe doesn't or does work, I do think it's one of those kind of everyone can see the origin, and it does reference back those classic original games. I want this because Odyssey referenced it, so it's also a reference to Odyssey, but it's one of those things where I feel we can all appreciate what it's representing. Next, we have his outfit from 100%ing Sunshine, or it's like all the blue coins or whatever. His little Sunshine outfit, he has Flood still in the moveset, of course, and while the switching on movesets is a whole other topic, let me know if you want to hear me talk about those. It is a fun outfit, and I just like seeing the rolled up sleeves, little sprite shirt, and the glasses. It's a fun little outfit, cosmetic change that Mario could wear. And lastly, 64 Mario. Now, a lot of modern games have been doing this thing of taking polygonal models and putting it on the newer games as a fun reference. I have been loving it, and a lot of people also really like it. Mario 64 is one of the games of all time. Like, that is just a known fact. And being that this game series started on 64 as well, having a Mario 64 styled costume where he's all blocky like that original appearance, I think would go such a long way to show the dedication and the references. And overall, I think these costumes now kind of fully reflect Mario with, like, his original costume, colors based off of a signature power-up, powers based off, more modern power-ups. The 3D games, how back in the day he was kind of thrown onto other things with the NES Open Tournament outfit. It really shows off a lot of what Mario's done, and I really love just the variety you get in the outfits. Next up, of course, is Donkey Kong, and unfortunately, Donkey Kong doesn't have as many notable references due to the fact that his appearance doesn't change much throughout game to game. For his costumes, at least, he has his original one based off of just what a normal gorilla looks like, one based off his arcade sprite, one from the multiplayer mode of Donkey Kong 64, one from the, it's like, I don't know if it's a multiplayer mode, just alternate color scheme, but from DK King of Swing, one that's been titled Yeti Kong, it's a whole thing, but for lack of a better term, it's based off of the Yeti that shows up in the Donkey Kong Country TV series, another costume based off of King of Swing, and then one based off of Donkey Kong Jr.'s Player 2 appearance in Donkey Kong Jr. Math. Most of these, I don't like. For one, the Yeti just doesn't... Let's not reference the country show. A real gorilla's inspiration's fun, but you could reference other material. I don't like the purple only because it's like a pseudo reference. It just doesn't work, and we already have 2 King of Swing colors, so let's get rid of one. Instead, we're gonna get more varied. 1, blue DK from Mario Party, which is what that purple one is supposed to be. Purple has just switched so much over time as what the colors are supposed to be. This blue from, I think this is Mario Golf here, it's more unique, looks better. I personally think this is what they should go with instead of having a purple. While the movie came out after, Fire DK being this red with the white highlights, it's really nice, and obviously if we get a new Smash game, it'll be the new Donkey Kong design anyway, which looks like the movies. I think having a reference to Fire DK from the movie would be awesome, just showing off more of the franchise, of course. Then Super Kong, a lot of people said the white fur is based off Super Kong, but it predates Super Kong technically. But give it a blue tie, you can make the reference. And lastly, an alt based off Funky Kong. If we don't have a new Echo Fighter or character for Donkey Kong, I think having an outfit based off of Funky, who has a very similar build to him, would be awesome, and let's be honest, who doesn't love Donkey Kong? Next up, we have Link. Now, Link is interesting because his appearance in Ultimate is the biggest switch-up we've had in a while for the character, with his base outfit being based off Breath of the Wild instead of just his standard appearance in, like, Twilight Princess or Skyward Sword. But his alts do reference a lot of parts of the franchise. We have the standard hero outfit from Breath of the Wild, and this is a nitpick, I don't like how they took everything directly from Breath of the Wild. I wish there was more variety, but that's neither here nor there. But we have kind of his iconic older appearance, one based off of like the Sheikah outfit, one based off Fierce Deity Link, one based off the World Guard outfit, one based off of Twilight Princess, which was Link's previous incarnation that was in Smash from Smash Brawl and 4, one based off of his casual wear in Skyward Sword, and one based off of Dark Link. While they all are solid references, I want to get rid of the 2 that are just outfits from Breath of the Wild. We already have the base Breath of the Wild outfit, and that is the basis we're going with for all these designs. Having 2 that are just directly ripped from that game I don't like that. I wish there was something more creative there. So we took some other outfits. If we are going to take from Breath of the Wild, why not take the one everyone memed about, and that's the Vo outfit where Link dresses up as a girl. While it is a bit more different than the rest, it is a fun costume and could work really well. You wouldn't have to switch up too much, just again, different costume. And we're going from a different game. Hyrule Warriors has a Royal Guard outfit, which is very different and also doesn't have a hat. I don't know, I just kind of like having a different Royal Guard outfit that's not the one from Breath of the Wild. Again, more parts of the franchise being covered here. You now have a lot more game variety, of course, because when the heck is Hyrule Warriors ever mentioned? And it feels more fitting because this is kind of the Twilight Princess Link, sorta. Next up is Samus, and Samus, surprisingly, has weird variety of costumes. You'd think it would just be her suits, but no. You have her base suit, which is the Vario suit in this game, the fusion suit. The sprite version of the gravity suit, since it was more of a pinkish in the original game. The dark suit, the actual gravity suit. A green suit, which apparently is based off of, like, Gundam. It has no origin, which is really dumb. The light suit, and one based off of, like, an enemy in Prime 2, I think. You can see where I'm going. Let's get rid of the ones that just aren't costumes. Samus has a ton of outfits that could be used for inspiration. The fact that they didn't is a bit upsetting. And while, like, the pink one, I guess, works, and the other one, the last one, was just to replace the Dark Samus out, since Dark Samus is now a clone character, yeah, we could still do a lot better. So here, we have the missing suits that have some variety. We have the Phazon suit from the Animatrix Prime 1, which, beautiful suit. I mean, let's put that as one. Then we have the PED suit from Prime 3. While it does have a lot of samey colors, if we go for the more corrupted state, it would be a very unique suit. And lastly, I think the Metroid suit would look really sick. It's another green suit. And well, again, Dread came out after Ultimate. We could theoretically have this be retroactively added. Next, we have Dark Samus. I will be grouping the clones with their originals. So Dark Samus is interesting, as the ones that have references are references to other characters. We have Dark Samus' normal suit, just a Smash original, one based off of a Hunter, another original, one based off of Chozo statue, one based off of the concept art for Dark Samus, which love that, and then one based off of Hunter, and one based off of a boss from one of the GBA Metroids, I'm pretty sure. But if we're focusing with Prime and the Hunters, how about we go all out and remove the ones that aren't, and replace them with outfits based off of the other Hunters you could find throughout Metroid Prime. While a lot of them share similar color schemes, you could make it work, have different shades. And overall, if you had the entire thing be Prime related to begin with, I think everyone would be okay with that. I wouldn't mind having even similar color schemes if they all have those references to the rest of the Prime franchise, because that's where Dark Samus is from. Next up is Yoshi, who is nearly perfect. All of the Yoshi alts are based off of colors we've seen Yoshi take throughout the games. Green, red, blue, yellow, pink, cyan, and purple, with the last one being based off Crafted World. Let's get rid of that one. While Crafted World isn't as nearly close of a good game to Woolly World, the alt doesn't look that different from the original besides the texturing. Bring back Black Yoshi. I mean, it's a color we see in the games. It was in previous ones. Like, just bring it back. Have 8 unique colors. If we're not gonna have a Woolly World skin, give us just Black Yoshi back, please. Next up is Kirby. Kirby's alts all do have some form of inspiration. With the original Kibi, which is what you call Yellow Kirby from Dream Course. Then Ice Kirby and Fire Kirby. Green Kirby appeared in, like, Amazing Mirror. And then we have a monochromatic skin based off of his original appearance from Dreamland. Orange, which is supposed to be based off of spray paint, but if you look at other games like the Battle Royales, Orange Kirby is one of the colors that is prominently featured, even has custom artwork, as you can see. And the last one's based off Meta Knight without a mask, as Meta Knight is just Kirby with armor. And you know what? I think this is perfect. They all have references, most of them multiple at that add on to each other. And while I do wish the orange, at least, was a bit more brighter and different, overall, like, they all have unique references. They all have something that I appreciate about Kirby's design and his game history. Like, there's nothing here I would actually change. Well, I could add on to it and maybe make a few more unique ones. I think it's good as is. I think Kirby has a phenomenal alt selection, which makes sense. Sakurai made the games, so I'm sticking with these. I don't think we need to change any of them. Kirby has the references. That's all I need. Now we have Fox. Star Fox, of course, doesn't have nearly as many games as the rest that have been previously discussed, so it is a bit harder, but they did try pulling references for. We have his normal outfit, one based off of a standard kind of fox with the darker fur. Then we have some alts from Star Fox Assault's multiplayer with the red, green, and the yellow from later on. We have one based off of Falco, I guess, in 64. We're getting rid of that anyway. A green one, which is Smash Original, and one based off of Wolf, since Wolf wasn't in Smash 4, so they give him a Wolf alt. We're getting rid of the ones that, while Wolf and the Falco one are fun, there are other characters that are in the game, we don't need them. The one that's a fox is basically Smash Original, along with the other one. We can find better references. So instead, yeah, I know, it's a selection. For one, the Melee Fox. Well, I know a lot of people can be like, why would they put Melee Fox? Melee Fox is iconic in Smash. And the team knows Melee has that popularity behind it. Giving us an ult that makes Fox look like this older model would be amazing. Then James McLeod, who looks just like Fox with a few visual differences. Specifically the glasses, that would be a fun ult, and technically a separate character as well. That would be fun. Now, if we go back to the original box art with, like, the puppet, this is actually a very different outfit and fur color. That would be a really deep cut that I would love to see as an orange ult. And then lastly, a character who's an assist trophy, Crystal. If you colored Fox like Crystal instead of Wolf, you now have another character being referenced since Wolf is already in the game as a separate fighter. This overall, while it's arguably still not that crazy or unique, it does have a few more deep cuts and covers a bit more of the franchise that I'd like to see, especially since Star Fox is obviously not going to have that much of a representation since there's not much to work with. Next is Pokemon, and all the Pokemon alts across the board are so disappointing to me. And it's not just the lack of having the shinies be alts. They all go for unique things for sure, but I just wish they did other things, and I'll get to what I mean in a sec. For Pikachu, we have his normal design, and then he has hats based off of all the other trainers. We have one based off Red, Brendan, Ethan, Callum, and Celine. Yes, I remember them all. We also have Pikachu Libre. There's also the party hat, which is iconic from the Smash 64 days, and it's been carried over to all the other games. Let's get rid of all of them, except Libre, because that's a costume Pikachu's wore in the games. Pikachu has so much merch and appearances where he's had costumes, you could make a whole game's worth of Pikachu with costumes. While it is cute referencing the different trainers, you could do that with the other Pokemon. Some of the Pokemon don't have the same level of material to work with, so save that for the others, and give Pikachu the outfits he's worn. So we're covering all aspects of the franchise with this one. Starting off, we have Rockstar Pikachu, another outfit from the Oraz games, and it's the only other outfit from that set that I feel actually works with this context, because the rest are all bigger, flowy, so I think this one works. Detective Pikachu, while it's just a simple hat, I mean, it got a movie, like, deserves it. And while I know Sakurai likes only focusing on the video games, Ash Hat Pikachu is in the games. You could put it here and it would work just fine. Then we move to other forms of merchandising with the Eevee and Magikarp ponchos, Eevee being the other mascot, Magikarp being just an iconic Pokemon for its weakness. While the ponchos would probably need separate physics, of course, they're such cute outfits, and I don't think anyone would be mad if we got them. Lastly, from Mario's Anniversary, there was a collab, and we had Mario and Luigi-style Pikachu outfits. Why the heck is that not in the game? You already got Mario here, you don't need to license it out, you own everything. Give us the Mario Pikachu, that would be awesome, it's such a cool reference, and I think everyone would be playing with that for playing Pikachu. But overall, you have now touched so much of the franchise, you've covered so much more, these are all actual outfits Pikachu has worn in some shape or form, like, why didn't they do this? It just upsets me. Next up is Luigi, and unfortunately, Luigi's alts kinda suck because they don't reference Luigi. He has this original, then what Mario looks like on the cover for Pinball, then Luigi's appearance in Wrecking Crew, what Mario looks like on the cover of Mario Bros, Fire Luigi, Waluigi, what Mario looks like on the cover of Game & Watch, and then what Luigi looks like in the Atari port? Maybe? I don't know. We're getting rid of most of them. Luigi, just like Mario, has had so many appearances with different outfit colors, and on top of that, Luigi's Mansion has alternate colors that we could work with. Why the heck we didn't reference more of those games, I don't know. So I fixed that. Here we have the other Luigis from, I believe, Dark Moon. We have the cyan one, the orange one, and the pink one. Well, they all had similar colored alts in Smash, of course, with these colors. These are just the Dark Moon versions, and I think it's awesome if we had that representation from Luigi's sub-series. On top of that, Luigi, again, if we're not having a clone or Echo Fighter, give Luigi an awesome, beautifully textured skin. My life is yours. And lastly, for a neat color reference, The Mario OVA from the 90s had Luigi with a very dramatically different outfit. While this isn't anything to do with the games, it is a very deep cut that I would love. And it also is very similar to one of the alts to begin with. So if they just kept that and said that was the reference, I wouldn't be mad. Next up, Ness. Now, Earthbound, of course, is in a bit of a weird spot due to the lack of games. And since this is also taken from sort of multiple, it's weird. But I do have a problem with a few of these alts. To begin with, we have Ness's standard outfit, one based off of a character from Mother 3, one based off of an enemy, one based off of a character from Earthbound, which I don't remember the name, one based off of Ness when he was younger, which you find at Magic Camp, one with just Mr. Saturn, one with a Mr. Belch pattern, and one with the tile backgrounds that you find in the game. While I love the menu reference as the shirt, it is a bit weird, but we're getting rid of a lot of these. While it is cool seeing Mr. Saturn, it's already an item in the game. I don't think we need a shirt just to reference that. And the others being... One's a reference to Mother 3, which Lucas is in the game already. If someone's having that reference, it should be Lucas. One based off of just, like, enemies and characters, like, that aren't relevant to begin with. Yeah, no. Let's make them relevant. In the game, we have 3 other party members. All of them with unique color schemes. Apply that to Ness? Have his colors reference the rest of the cast from Earthbound? Awesome. And Ness actually does have an alternate outfit within the beginning of Earthbound, that being his pajamas. Giving him a blue outfit that's all striped, while it'd be very similar to the other one, because it's similar colors, of course. Maybe just remove the hat and call it unique. I don't know how you want to go about it, but those are better references than what they have already. Crying out loud, Earthbound fans, they get crumbs to begin with. Just let them have this. Next up is Captain Falcon. And with F-Zero being as dead in the ground as possible, the references are a bit unique. We have his standard appearance moving from GX forward, one based off of a commercial from, I believe it was either GX or like towards the originals. Blood Falcon, one based off of one of the vehicles being the screen in orange, I don't remember the name. One based off his original appearance in like the older comics from like that came packaged with like the NES game. Then we have 3 other characters in F-Zero that are relatively iconic. Debatably so, but like there's Jody Summers. I don't remember the yellow guy's name. Definitely don't remember the blue guy's name. But they all do reference stuff. And F-Zero is so dead in the water. I'm saying congrats, and it's a good selection. I know F-Zero fans, the few of you that remain, may be sitting here saying you could probably do a lot more. And I won't deny that fact. But with the lack of content in games, and the fact that almost the entirety of his moveset is original to Smash to begin with, I think Captain Falcon's ults are just fine. They don't need to be fixed up. I'd love to hear what you guys would like for references in the comments, because F-Zero is one of the franchises I don't know much about. I do think it's fine, and you could touch up some maybe, but I'm leaving it as is, saying it's fine, moving on. Next up is Jigglypuff, and interesting, to say the least. We have a normal alt, one with just like a hibiscus flower, which is Smash Original, one with Leaf's hat, one with the Bug Catcher's hat, one with Kirby's sleep hat to reference the original fact that Jigglypuff was just reskinned and retooled from Kirby in the original 64, one with a cute bow, one with Nurse Joy's hat, one with Serena's hat. Here are all of them. While I do like the sleep hat because that's what Jigglypuff does, and it's a reference to Kirby, another franchise, I like the cross-referencing from franchises, and this is one of those cases that works really well, so we're keeping that, but the rest, getting rid of. I say we use held items as a source of inspiration because they're more interesting. For one, a shiny Jigglypuff. You could say it's another held item one, but shiny Jigglypuff. The rest of the Pokemon need shinies. That's a fact. But the rest, I say we give held items. Jigglypuff is iconic in Melee with the green bandana. To sort of reference that, on top of the fact that they are items that the Pokemon would technically wear even if we don't see it in the games, I think it'd be awesome if we had the Muscle Band, the Rocky Helmet, the Choice Specs, the Choice Band, the Crown from Unite. Don't remember the name. Which could also reference the fact that Jigglypuff used to wear Peach's crown. They're all cute references. They cover more parts of the franchise. Giving it to Jigglypuff works. And moving forward, I will be trying something unique with each of the Pokemon to cover different parts of the franchise, because as it stands, I think they probably have the worst alt selection. Here's Peach with all of the references, of course. So we have just her standard outfit, one that is now golden, but originally was her Daisy alternate before Daisy was added as a new character. One that is red based off Pauline's original design, being the all red. One based off of one of the multiplayer options in Mario Golf. One based off of her appearance on the cover of NES Open Tournament Golf. One based off her wedding outfit. One based off Fire Peach, and a Smash original. Because Daisy's in the game, the gold is supposed to reference Daisy, who's in the game. Again, we don't need it, and the Smash original is gone. Let's take some references. While I want to say the next Smash game would just take all outfits from Peach's Showtime, because it's a great game and more people should play it, these are some references that are pretty deep cuts, and I think people like it. For one, we have the Shadow Queen from Thousand Year Door. This is obviously Peach, of course. It will be like an all-black dress, but Peach's dress in Mario Sunshine actually is different, being a lighter shade overall with the pink around the waist. I don't know how to explain dresses. And her arms are revealed. I think it'd be fun if that was a special alternate. Maybe she even had her hair up as well, since she doesn't actually use her hair in any attacks, unlike the fact that her whole dress is part of some of her attacks, making it difficult to remove that. Now, after Peach, we have her Echo Fighter, Daisy. So we have her original appearance, one based off of, again, Peach's appearance on the NES Open Tournament. Another, which is based off of Peach's appearance in Mario 2, where she looked very different. One based off of Daisy's actual appearance at NES Open Tournament Golf, if you want to retcon Daisy being the girl that was next to Luigi, which I think is a fun kind of headcanon sort of thing. A Smash original, which does look really nice. One based off her Player 2 appearance in Mario Tennis. One that correlates to the wedding Peach dress and kind of the whole wedding aesthetic that they had going for Odyssey, and another Smash original. So we're removing all the ones that are Smash original and relate back to Peach. Daisy, while she may not have as many appearances, does have a notable history that you could take inspiration from. And while some of the things I will put are technically released after, due to how games work, they would have been thought of and in the works by the time, at the very least at the end, of Smash Ultimate's life cycle. So, Daisy, of course, made her mainline debut in the original Mario Land, but as a playable character, it was Mario Wonder, which we had Fire Daisy, Bubble Daisy, and Drill Daisy, all of which have unique dresses, which I would like to see. On top of that, Daisy is kind of the character that most people relate to the sports and side games, so I'd like an alt based off of her Mario Kart outfit, tracksuit. It has brighter yellow at the hands, but it's mostly like a tannish sort of color. Like a very light yellow. I think that would be an interesting dress and would, again, relate to Mario Kart. Then Mario Strikers has a nice purple and blue combo that is very heavily present, whereas blue is only relegated to her chest and earrings. So having more throughout, I doubt they would get rid of the dress because, as mentioned with Peach, there are attacks that actually use the fact that it is a dress, specifically her down smash. Next for the newcomers was Bowser. Bowser's interesting because there's some of these alts are debatable and what they actually do reference, but these are the ones that I saw most people refer to when they said what was being referenced. So obviously we have his normal design, iconic, a Smash original, which used to be different and I believed had a reference, but it's kind of been lost over the years as it's kind of been updated with each game. One based off of Ludwig's sprite. Then we have one based off of I believe Mario Golf. I want to say Mario Golf, if you picked him, it's like his third player option. The red one also comes from Mario Golf. Then we have one based off of his box art appearance from the original Mario Bros. On Famicom, like that artwork, iconic artwork. Bowser's very different, so they took that. This one, while a lot of people are saying it's Smash original, because it technically is, it's actually based off Giga Bowser, who itself has been, while it's still only related to Smash, it is so iconic, I think it's fine as its own referencing that. And lastly, a blue coloration, which you could say also comes from Mario Golf, but more likely takes place from Mario, I believe Lost Levels, specifically where the sprite shows up with the bluer tint from the sprite. I like referencing that. At the very least, it references NES Mario again, and that's a fun reference. I'm going to leave the golf colorations. Usually I'd remove them, I'm gonna leave them. I will be removing the one that references Ludwig, because Bowser Jr., because you can literally turn him. We don't need that. And the basically Smash original, again, getting rid of it. Instead, for one, Dry Bowser. While it's not it would be a very different skin. Come on, it's right there. And playing as a giant skeleton Bowser sounds awesome, even if it's just a white version of the normal Bowser and not actually a custom. That would be awesome. And secondly, Wedding Bowser. The other characters from Odyssey, Mario and Peach, of course, they have their wedding outfits, or at least Peach is inspired. I feel like you should complete the trio and give us Wedding Bowser. That's a very fun outfit that he wore throughout the game, and I'd like to see it. Next is the Ice Climbers. And you don't see any icons because they're all basically Smash original. Besides their original appearance where they were the blue and pink, almost all of these alts don't relate to anything, not even like real life. They just sort of are fun colors. And Ice Climbers itself is a singular NES title. So while they could have pulled inspiration from either real life, I'm saying that's good enough. Ice Climbers is a solo NES game. Taking any more inspiration, you could take more from the games, relate them back to the very few characters and levels. But there's so little, and that, combined with if you just took like fun versions of jackets in real, like there's so little to work with here. I think it's okay leaving them as just a colorful bunch of characters. They're fun, they're fine. No one is clamoring for really unique alts of any of them. Let's leave the Ice Climbers alone. Next, we have Sheik. And this one is weird. Specifically Ultimate. It's weird. So Sheik has her standard design. And that design is based off of not an appearance she's actually worn. In Breath of the Wild, you can get a Sheik outfit that looks very similar to Sheik's standard attire. And that is what based the Smash Ultimate design on. In that game as well, in Breath of the Wild, you can dye outfits different colors. The red, purple, green, black, and yellow all seem to be dyed versions of that outfit, but they do date back to previous games where they were sort of references, sort of Smash Original. That being said, they don't really have references at this point in time. But you could technically make the argument that they relate back to dyeing that one specific outfit, which I call BS. Anyway, the third alt is actually based off our original design from Ocarina of Time, because it was slightly different. And the last alt seems to be based off of Impa from Hyrule Warriors, which had a very unique color palette, and hot take, my favorite design of Impa in any of the games. So we're getting rid of all the basically Smash original, and Sheik doesn't have appearances. Like, Sheik has appeared in Ocarina of Time and Hyrule Warriors, Smash, that's it. So what are we pulling from? Well, throughout the games, we've actually seen Impa, many incarnations of Impa, and Impa is the only relative Sheikah character we have seen. So taking inspiration from Impa's designs would be a fun nod and callback to another character who's not playable. Before that, though, I did pick a Yiga clan, so a red and black color scheme. The Yiga clan, well, the opposite, really, of the Sheikah. Since they want to relate everything to Breath of the Wild now, I think that's a fun little, like, hey, there you go, fun reference. But for the Impa designs I decided to take, we have Skyward Sword Impa, which very different than the rest with the color palette. That would be fun. We have Age of Calamity Impa, just young Impa. It's not that crazy of a color scheme. Very, like, tannish, but that's fun. And then Link Between Worlds Impa, which has the old hag sort of color scheme and aesthetic. I think that'd be fun. Lastly, we're taking Tetra. So, spoiler warning for anyone who hasn't played like a 20-year-old game. Sheik is actually Zelda. Shocker. In the Wind Waker, Tetra turns out to be Zelda. So, how a lot of people correlate it is Tetra is Wind Waker's Sheik. I think it'd be really fun if we had a Sheik whose color palette matched Tetra to reference Wind Waker's non-existent Sheik, which itself would be Tetra, because Tetra fills in that void. Anyway, speaking of Zelda, Zelda herself, who honestly missed potential in my opinion, I personally think they should have done what they did with, like, Ike, as the one character who has both of his designs as, like, half the roster. I think it'd be really fun if we had this Zelda who comes from A Link to the Past. And then have her turn into her Twilight Princess design instead of having it be in her 7th coloration. I think that'd be more fun, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, for the rest of her color schemes, we have a red alt based off of what she looked like if you equipped a specific item in the original Zelda. Then we have her casual clothes from the beginning of A Link to the Past. Then we have her Ocarina of Time appearance, which was what she was based off of in Melee. Then a green Zelda alt, this is based off of what happens if you have a different item. Then we have an alt that correlates to Dark Link with like this Dark Zelda aesthetic, not actually existing in the games, this being Smash Original. And her last alt seems to be based off of her Skyward Sword appearance, where she primarily has this white robe, and she's typically depicted with some form of like yellow with her hair, or gold with like an item. I'm getting rid of, the two that are, let's be honest, equipping a specific item, which sort of switches the NES color palette around, and then calling it a different costume. No, it's stupid. Okay, those aren't alts. They're just recolors. Boring recolors. And while Dark Zelda in concept is cool, she doesn't exist in the games, and there is something we could take instead. For one, her name is Hilda. She is from A Link Between Worlds, and she's Mirror Zelda. I think you see where I'm going. Why the heck was this not an alt? You took her design, which itself, a lot of people are saying comes from that game, but it dates back previously, but it's the one in that game, and this is a recolor of that one. It is a canon recolor of that design that's in Smash. Why didn't you take it? I don't know. But besides that, in Breath of the Wild, this screenshot is from Age of Calamity, because, God, you could not find. There was more photos of people cosplaying this outfit than photos of the outfit itself in the game. But this is Zelda's princess, like, royal attire from the Breath of the Wild Tears Kingdom universe. And it's very unique and fun, so why not give it an alt? I'm not saying make it full-on the Breath of the Wild Zelda, I'm saying recolor the original Zelda's outfit to look like this one. And speaking of that, a recolor based off of a Wind Waker Zelda appearance, just to kind of tie in Toon Link being one of the fighters, of course, in the game. I think it'd be fun if we had a Toon Zelda colored version, where it's all of this pink. She could have the brighter hair, of course. It would be just a nice little touch, and round out the roster with everything relating to different games, of course, different Zeldas. Next, we have Dr. Mario. And Dr. Mario being Dr. Mario means he doesn't really have that much material to work with, but boy did they try. For one, his original attire, which is just a doctor outfit. A lot of times, though, he's depicted with white pants, but his Smash version has, like, jeans underneath. I believe it's meant to look like his overalls. So it is technically different. It's one of those weird touches you don't notice, but like most Dr. Mario, like, in-game renders, he has white pants. Then we have a red, blue, and yellow alt. Each of those alts correlate to the viruses in the game, of course, as there's a red, blue, and yellow virus. We have a green alt, which is meant to depict how the Game Boy basically displays the game with the greenish color. I think they could have gone further with it, but that is what the reference is. I do like it. Then we have, it's called the Bad Doctor, but it's just the Smash Original. A purple one, which is Smash Original. And then a pink one based off of Nurse Peach, or no, Nurse Toadstool, as she was called by that time. So getting rid of the two Smash Originals, that's easy. And I have two unique ideas. If you recall, Ness has an outfit based off of his tiles used for, like, the menus in the game. I think it'd be fun if Dr. Mario followed a similar idea where the iconic background of Dr. Mario, this blue and black tiles, would be what his outfit looks like. I know that's not really too interesting, I guess, but having kind of this plaid version of Dr. Mario, which references back to his original game, seems fun. And the other one comes from the mobile game. If you don't remember, Dr. Mario actually had a mobile game for a while. It's pretty fun. In that game, there were some alts, of course, and one of them was Fire Dr. Mario. While I'm not expecting him to get the hat, having red underneath with the white hat, with the white overcoat, maybe you do something with the headpiece, I don't know. It is technically it's like the only alt that exists of Mario, technically. It's Dr. Mario. I'm sticking with it. Next up is Pichu. And for those who don't know, I absolutely hate the Pokemon alts in the games of Smash Brothers. But I will give it to them. They have some pretty unique ones. So for Pichu, we have his standard design. Then we have the swimming goggles, which I believe predates the trainer class, but relates to the swimmer class in Pokemon. A Smash Original. one based off of Team Skull's headpiece, one based off of the original Team Aqua headpiece as they were redesigned for Orez. Then we have spiky-eared Pichu from a Heart Gold Soul Silver event. We have a little flower on his ear, which is in Sun and Moon. I apparently, one of the thousands of cosmetic options in that game is a flower piece that looks strikingly similar to it, so I'm saying that's the reference. And lastly, a Focus Ash. I just think it's fun, and that's my favorite at all. We're getting rid of almost all of them. We are keeping Spiky-Eared Pichu because that is a deep cut reference that I love is in this game. The rest, though, again, the same thing applied with Pikachu back then. There's so many versions of this character like you could work with. And I think it'd be fun if for Pichu, we reference the other Pikachu clones and characters. So for the new alts, Shiny Pichu. This is the sprite version because it's more noticeable, but it's supposed to be this more like orange color. And that would be a fun thing. It looks a lot more like older Pikachu and Raichu. Then Ukulele Pichu from Pokemon Ranger. I'm not saying have him have the ukulele in front. I'm saying have it carry it on his back. But like, that's another version of Pichu. Technically a form if you want to consider it that. And it's cute because he has a little ukulele. Then for the Pikachu clones, I picked the ones that basically have the most alternate color scheme to the original Pichu. Pachirisu with the white and blue. Plusle and Minun, they would both have a tannish body with red or blue highlights respectively. And then Togedemaru, who is primarily white with a gray, and then yellow and brown, just like the actual Pikachu. They're all different, unique, and referencing the rest of the Pikachu clones since Pichu is grouped with them, even though it's a pre-evo of Pikachu, so I don't know why you would consider it a clone if it's just a baby form. That's a debate for another day. I'm not getting into that today. Next up is Falco. And Star Fox, well, Fox himself at least has a decent number of appearances. Falco, of course, sometimes he gets a little sidelined, so they tried. His ults, at least, we have his standard appearance. We have his appearance based in Melee because he had orange underneath. So they said, what if we made everything a bright orange? I know you're probably looking at that and looking at the normal and saying, what's the difference? It's more of a red. We have a Smash original, one based off his appearance in Star Fox. What is it? Assault. Design I absolutely love, by the way. Another Smash original. One which seems to correlate with, like, the Dark Fox ult. But this one could also be related to a real-life bird. Another Smash original, and then one based off of his love interest from, I'm pretty sure, just like a singular game. I don't think she ever reappears, and I think her name is Cat. So let's get rid of the ones that don't really have references, plus the Melee one, because that's not what he looked like to begin with. It wasn't all orange. So having that be considered the reference is a bit of a stretch anyway. Instead, what I'm going to do is what I did with Fox in the last video. Take a ton of other appearances of this character, plus some references of other characters. For one alt that just makes him look like his Melee counterpart. I'm not saying a color swap, I'm saying full on. The more polygons, we have that classic style Falco because Fox and Falco are iconic to the Smash history. Then his appearance in, Star Fox Adventure, which, wow, what a different design. I forgot how different Falco looks in that game. Then one based off his puppet from the original SNES artwork from the box, because that's also very different. Then a color scheme based off of the two other main Star Fox characters of the primary four that aren't in Smash. Peppy Hair and Slippy Toad. I just think having you could switch the blue on Falco and then kind of keep the outfits very samey. That would work as the reference, and you could have all Star Fox, sort of. Next up is Marth. And as someone who doesn't play a lot of Fire Emblem, having to research all the lore and references, oh, I really, really hate that there's so many Fire Emblem characters in this franchise. Anyway, Marth, we have his standard appearance from some of the games, because sometimes his design changes. We'll get to that in a little bit. Then we have what the enemy troops look like being a red, what allied troops look like being a green, one based off of another character from Marth's games, one based off of Leaf from a different Fire Emblem game, one based off his appearance from a different one, which I believe was his Smash Brawl incarnation. They had that style of armor, I'm pretty sure. Then we have a Smash original, and one based off of this artwork, and or I guess you can consider an appearance. It's more so just the artwork, because in-game it looks a lot more like just Marth's normal design, but... So, here's the fun thing about all the Fire Emblem characters in Smash. Because they're in Smash Bros. And not tied to, Fire Emblem itself, which itself is more of a niche, there's a lot of appearances of these characters in different games and places you wouldn't expect, which makes my life so much easier because thanks to the the singular gacha game and Fire Emblem Warriors, we have alternate costumes for these characters, thank God. So from the gacha game, we have this reddish alt, which looks pretty nice. We have one from Warriors, which is supposed to be like a wedding outfit, fun. We have another one from the gacha game where he's like all knighted out, that's cool. Another one, I have no clue. I tried my best, trying to figure out what some of these alts were meant to be, I have no clue. Then we have like a gold King Marth. I know some people are going to sit here and say, why are you taking inspiration from the alts of these characters in different games and not just like other characters? Like, they actually do in this franchise and Smash with their references. And that's because, well, why not reference more parts of the character itself and not the other characters? Because I'm pretty sure that's what the trophies and spirits are for. Next up is Lucina. And I had a more unique idea for Lucina. Lucina, of course, is very popular thanks to her being an awakening. And all of her alts do have a reference being other females within Awakening. I want Lucina to represent the woman of Fire Emblem because she's the only Fire Emblem rep that isn't one of the protagonist characters, so you choose the gender and isn't necessarily a character of itself, and more so just the player. If we're looking at they actually are a character in the universe that isn't the player, Lucina's the only girl in Smash. So I'd like her to represent the woman of Fire Emblem. Now, all of these reps are technically from Awakening, and I'm saying that's fine, but I will give this task to you guys. In the comments, let me know the famous woman of Fire Emblem who you think should deserve a color palette based off of them. I know, like, Lynn, big one, she's not here, but she definitely deserves one, actually. Let me know what characters you'd want to see have a coloration based off them for Lucina. And before anyone says there should be an alt where Lucina wears the mask, I agree as well. And you could 100% make a full set of 8 of different costumes she has been given in the external media. But for sake of Fire Emblem is such a big franchise, I want Lucina to cover more of it, because I'm giving most of the Fire Emblem cast just alts from their appearances. Alright, next up we have Young Link, who sort of has references. Some of these are a bit of a stretch, but we'll go with it. So we have his standard design from Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, then the Goron tunic and the Zora tunic, which are both from Ocarina of Time. Again, it's just red and blue, but like, they at least make sense in this case. Link looks white when he wears a certain item, and the OG Zelda. Yeah, we're doing this again. Pink is meant to correlate to the fairies, as that's what they're typically presented as, and the Great Fairies with their pink hair. Blue is to reference Breath of the Wild, with the primarily blue outfit instead of the casual green. Orange goes off of the Spirit Temple's symbol, sure. And a dark Young Link to correlate with Dark Link, which, again, Link also has. I'm gonna keep the tunics from Ocarina of Time, since that's the game Young Link appeared in first. And well, I don't think we ever actually get to see a Dark Young Link conceptually exist, and it's cool. I'm gonna leave it. It's a reference, it's fine. I'm gonna leave it. We're gonna replace the rest, though, because they're all stretching it. Instead, a color palette based off of Deku Link, Goron Link, and Zora Link from Majora's Mask. Like a cyanish one with green tips, a brownish outfit with green tips, and I don't know what color that is. It's more of like a light brown, a light orange, but like tunics based off of each of them to reference Majora's Mask, the game that you only play as Young Link. And then in Hyrule Warriors, you have this fun color palette, Ganondorf. Ganondorf is interesting because half the alts don't have origins. This is probably just a carryover from Melee, where Ganondorf was such an afterthought, and it's one of the downsides of its character's appearance in Smash. So we have his standard appearance, which is based off of Ocarina of Time, Smash Original, one based off of Ganon, which is a separate character, but is a big boar, blue boar man thing. Then a Smash Original, another Smash Original, one based off his Wind Waker appearance, another Smash Original, and one based off of his Twilight Princess appearance, which was his previous skin incarnation, and Brawl and Smash 4. And Melee was also Ocarina of Time. Again, I do think it'd be cool if this was another character like Ike, where you could switch between his Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess designs, but neither here nor there. So we're going to get rid of all the Smash Originals, and replace it with other incarnations of the character, or characters related to Ganon. For one, while not necessarily a Ganondorf, I think having a massive color palette swap based off of Calamity Ganon, and specifically his Age of Calamity appearance, where he's a humanoid, that would be so sick. Like, I just want that in my life, because that just sounds cool. Then we have this appearance from, I think, not Oracle, not the Oracle, one of the older games. Like, this is the artwork for Ganon, very different than what we're used to. That would be a fun one to reference. Then, if you know your Zelda lore, you know Demise is the original one, because the cycle of Ganondorf and Ganon being revived over and over starts with Demise. So referencing his, I guess his base form would be cool. And following that, Demise's servant sword, Girahim, also would be a very fun color palette with the primary white and the red cape. Next is Mewtwo, and oh boy did they mess this one up. So we have a standard color scheme, then orange and blue, which are based off of some of the slight alterations you could get in Pokemon Stadium, because that game does random color swaps for some reason. A Smash original, one based off his original artwork, because in certain lights, I guess you could consider the what is supposed to be purple or red. Sure. One based off his original shiny coloration, a Smash original, and one based off of Shadow Lugia. Oh yeah, I got rid of almost all of these. God, these are bad. These are bad. I will keep the original shiny coloration. That is a rather deep cut that I do like. Instead, Mewtwo, being probably one of the most famous Pokemon, has forms and appearances like you could take from. I don't know why they didn't, but you could. 1. Shiny Mewtwo. Again, just give the Pokemon shinies. Jesus. Shadow Mewtwo. Or, yeah. Is it Shadow Mewtwo in Pokken? The Pokken version of Mewtwo. The aura farming Mewtwo, as I like to refer to him. Beautiful design. I would love that. Why did they pick Shadow Lugia instead of that? I don't know. A brighter pink to reference Mew, since Mewtwo is based off of Mew, I think would be fun. In Pokken, if you play with Mewtwo normally, his Player 2 appearance is actually blue. That's fun. Now, I don't think it ever appears in other media, but in the first movie, we get to see Mewtwo when he was first created. And his color palette is a lot more saturated, so that would be fun and a very deep reference. Then, Armored Mewtwo. Well, Armored Mewtwo hasn't appeared in any of the mainline games. He's in Pokemon Go. It counts. Now we have Roy. And Roy does reference a lot of stuff. I'm going to see how much I remember. So we have Roy's casual appearance, standard outfit. In this one Fire Emblem game, there's a multiplayer mode, and Roy has alternate colors depending on your role, which is what 3 of the alts represent. Next, we have a character, then his father, the villain from his games, and another guy. We're gonna keep the ones that are color swaps from the multiplayer mode, and we're gonna keep the one related to his father. The other 3, we're going back to the gacha game. Roy, of course, has different appearances. He has this one, I don't know what that's referencing, and then this other one, which is like the red cape, and it's like a fiery, it's pretty sick. And then lastly, this would technically be Smash Original, but I think it'd be fun. A color palette based off of Roy from Mario. It would be a cross-game reference, but because so many people joke about the fact that there's 2 Roys in Smash, and one of them is just, the Koopaling, I think it'd be fun if Roy from Fire Emblem had a color swap based off of Roy from Mario. And for Chrom. Now, Chrom's appearances are interesting. Chrom is a very popular character that I didn't realize since I never played Awakening. I know. Fake fan. We have Chrom with his standard appearance, one based off of, I believe, the main villain. Then another character, Discount Zoro. His concept art, which had him with an all black design. Another character. And his appearance in Tokyo Mirage Sessions, because that game is also Fire Emblem. So like last time, we're just getting rid of all the alts that aren't based off of Chrom directly. None of them have, the character-wise, they don't have direct connections to my understanding with Chrom, so I'm not going to keep any like I did with Roy. And instead, we're looking at the massive amount of alternate costumes this dude got in the gacha game. And when I mean massive, I mean I think he has more than the rest of the cast. Well, for the dudes at least. I'm pretty sure they just make a ton of outfits for the girls. But for the dudes at least, he has a lot of different outfits. We have this like Royal Knight design, Santa Chrom, because it sounds like Santa Claus. That's fun. I actually hope they would put that like hat. That'd be fun touch. Then we have this one for, I believe, Easter. one where he's an archer, and one that actually looks a lot like the other one that I showed for Roy. I don't know what these alts are called, never played the gacha game, never will, but here you go. And Mr. Game & Watch. Mr. Game & Watch, as a character, is basically Smash Original, so the fact that they had any form of inspiration for some of these choices is honestly impressive. His original appearance based off the characters that you would find in the Game & Watch games themselves, a red color scheme based off of what you would see when you booted up the Virtual Boy, you poor souls. Another one based off of what you would look at with the original Game Boy, a Smash Original, and then 3 other ones based off of variations of looking at the Game Boy, because you have like the Game Boy Light, or not like the light itself, but like there's like an attachment and it'll look different. These are all different ways the Game Boy would look in different circumstances. And lastly, one based off of the empty dots of the Game & Watch, as they were unique handhelds, to say the least. And yeah, this is perfect. Unfortunately, all the other consoles had proper graphics. They didn't have unique screens like the Virtual Boy or Game Boy to take inspiration from. The fact that they got so much mileage out of the Game Boy color palette is impressive enough. It references Nintendo history. Like, this is honestly all I could ask for with a character like Mr. Game & Watch, who himself just doesn't have games, because Mr. Game & Watch is representative of the console, you know, like, I'm fine with this, completely fine with it. So first up, we have Meta Knight. Now, Meta Knight's an interesting newcomer because it's a Kirby character, and if you haven't seen the first video, you would know that Kirby had a phenomenal set, in my opinion, of alternate outfits. Meta Knight, on the other hand, doesn't follow that trend, so we have his standard appearance. Then the next 3 outfits, the white, red, and green, all take some form of characteristic from the Air Ride multiplayer outfits, since there's some alternate costumes, sort of, for Meta Knight. We have one based off his classic design, more sort of the art and like the in-game sprite. Also, his eyes are just red for some reason. We have another one based off Air Ride, but it also looks like Kirby. Then we have Galactic Knight and Dark Meta Knight, other characters that are very similar to Meta Knight in design and nature. I want to keep the last 4. I like having, of course, Galactic Knight and Dark Meta Knight. The classic NES design is great, and while usually taking ults from some games, it depends. In this case, I'm okay with it, because one, there's not many appearances where Meta Knight actually has multiple color variants, so Kirby Air Ride is one of the exceptions, and it goes with the fact that Kirby himself has a alt that looks like Meta Knight. So this one matching Kirby actually works really well. For new alts, for one, we're taking Morpho Knight from Star Allies, and Morpho Knight itself is actually a beta design of Meta Knight. On top of that, we have Mecha Knight from Planet Robobot. While it's not too crazy, because like I doubt they would put like the missiles and stuff, it is still a different design, technically, character, but that's a whole other topic. And lastly, we have Fancy Meta Knight, Unmasked Meta Knight, whatever you want to call it. I just think it's adorable, and I love to see him with a little top hat. I'm just a sucker for characters with fun, fancy outfits that typically aren't fancy. And this is one of those cases. Well, Kid Icarus was not made by Sakurai, Uprising was, and, you know, everything about Pit in the Smash series is from Uprising. But there are some references to the classic games. For one, we have his normal design, which itself is based off Uprising, a Smash original, then a red, green, and blue based off of different equipables, I believe, from the original NES. I'm not that familiar with that game. Then we have a Dark Pit alt, one based off of actual depicted angels in real life, and then a pink alt, which I believe used to have a reference, not sure. We're going to keep the ones based off the original NES game, because those are deep cut references that I really like, but we are going to remove the Smash original, the one based off of something in real life, and Dark Pit's in the game. They're clone characters for a reason. They're so similar design-wise. Having a Dark Pit variant of Pit when Dark Pit is a separate character is just so dumb. While it is funny conceptually, I don't want that. We're going all over the place because there is a bit more to the Kid Icarus franchise than you might think. For one, back in like Melee, we saw this trophy of like a modern version of what classic Pit, NES Pit would look like. Very much more cartoony, fit more of the older art style that the original Kid Icarus was going for. I think having an alt that completely redoes his face, at least, would be really sick. and just giving us this more cartoony classic Pit. On top of that, we have from the multiplayer of Uprising. Yes, Uprising did have multiplayer. They have like these guards, knights, whatever. They just are excuses for other people to be playing with the same movesets as Pit or Dark Pit. And this is like the Pit version of like an ally, one of them. So having Pit either take on that color scheme or get armor bits based off of that would be really sick. Then I want to have a green monochromatic color, like have the Kirby and King Dedede have, based off of Kid Icarus of Myths and Monsters, the Game Boy game. Yes, there is actually 3 Kid Icarus games, the NES, the Game Boy, and 3DS one. The Game Boy one is not talked about often, but it is a thing that exists, so a reference to a very deep cut game. Would love that. And lastly, since it's no longer his Final Smash, because in Smash Ultimate it is the Lightning Chariot, his Smash 4 Final Smash was the 3 Sacred Treasures. So since that was gone, I think we should reuse that model and give it as an alternate costume. Next is Dark Pit. And since Dark Pit doesn't have as much to go with in terms of his actual character, they referenced other characters from the game. Specifically Uprising, because again, that's Sakurai's game. So we have a standard design, a green one based off of, I believe, Thanatos, this darker one with red highlights based off of, God, I feel bad I don't remember his name because I really like that character. Smash Original, one based off of Twin Bellows, another Smash Original, one based off of Pit, that goes alongside the Dark Pit version of normal Pit, and a purple highlighted one, which seems to be referencing the Eggplant Wizard, a very infamous character, or villain, in the Kid Icarus series. I think we're just going to go all in with the whole referencing other characters, so let's remove the ones that aren't referencing, and Pit doesn't count, because I already went over this debate. Instead, Hades, I believe this is the first boss of Kid Icarus Uprising as well, like the Dark Lord, I don't remember his actual name. And if Pit's getting an ult where it's kind of like the allies of the multiplayer mode, there is a version for Dark Pit, of course, so getting that color scheme as well would be really sick. Alright, Zero Suit Samus. Now, I didn't realize Samus had so many casual outfits, but apparently they do exist. So we have her normal suit starting from, I believe, Other M onwards. Then we have the version that appears in Metroid Prime 2 for like one cutscene, and is a darker shade of blue. Yes, that is the inspiration, and you know what? I think that's fine. I know it's probably just a graphical thing because you're working with GameCube, but whatever, it's a darker blue. We have her classic leotard from the NES. We have what seems to be based off of a black outfit from, I believe, Super Metroid, which is weird because we have 2 others that have that same kind of body shape of just like the top and the bottom with like no midsection, but I guess we covered her fully. I don't know, it just feels like they could have used the other one for reference, but I'm fine with her being fully covered. I actually like it better this way. Hot take. A Smash Original, then a white one based off of concept art from, I believe, Fusion, and her casual orange and blue wear from various artwork we've seen. So since everything actually is a reference, I would say it's perfect, but there's a Smash Original, so let's get rid of that and replace it with her military attire. Next is Wario. And Wario is interesting because his alts kind of come in pairs, where you have his WarioWare appearance and his normal overall attire, each one kind of having similar colors to match with, but they're a bit different. It's weird, but I tried my best to kind of work with the whole, there's a Wario and a WarioWare version. Of course, we have his standard WarioWare appearance, his biker outfit, then we have Wario in his classic overalls. We have one based off of the Player 3, or Red Team, I don't know, from one of the WarioWare games. One based off of Mario's color scheme, a Smash Original, one based off Mario's appearance on the arcade version of Mario Bros, another Smash Original, and one based off of Mario's appearance in Wrecking Crew. Let's get rid of all the things Mario related in Smash Original and get Wario references. For crying out loud, he has a game called Master of Disguise. I'm not kidding. So my goal here was to take the 3 other overall outfits and get something that could be colored over for them, and 2 WarioWare things. So we have one, a Mario Golf alternate, very different color scheme. Then if we had one based off of Devil, Wario, and Lizard, Godzilla, I don't know what Wario that's supposed to be, but it's fun artwork. This would be the overalls, of course. Then for WarioWare, we had one where he has this little suit, and his vacation outfit. Honestly, all the different outfits Wario's worn throughout WarioWare could be good inspiration. A lot of games also have different color palettes for the standard biker outfit that they could pull from, which they didn't. So I'm going to leave it relatively open for Wario because there is a lot of inspiration they could take, but this is just what I put out there. Next is Snake. Now, being the first third-party character, you'd think they'd go a bit harder with it since, again, third-party, but most of these came from the same game. So we have his standard appearance from Metal Gear Solid 2, we have his older appearance from 4, and every other alt comes from Snake Eater, the third game. But they all are actual outfits he has worn throughout the series at different points, and that's good enough for me. I'm no expert on Metal Gear, and I do appreciate the fact that they cover so many different outfits that he actually has worn. While they could have referenced other characters, they did pull from this character and the source material, so they did exactly what I wanted at least, so I'm okay with it. Next is Ike, who has one of the coolest things they've done in Smash, and take both his appearance from when he was younger, which was his Smash Brawl incarnation, and his buff appearance from Smash 4. Since they referenced two different eras of games at different points, they put it all in one character. I wish more characters had this fun aspect. The Lynx definitely could use it, but as it stands, Ike's really the only one that fully utilizes this fact, but we have his standard appearance from Path of Radiance, then his standard appearance from Radiant Dawn, a custom alt, one based off of the enemy's color. We have one from the allied mode of one of the games, but it is actually a proper color palette swap from one of the games, so that's fine. One based off the character, one based off the character, one based off of the main rival to Ike. So I'm saying what I do for all the other Fire Emblem characters. Let's get rid of the ones that either reference other characters or don't have references at all. I will be keeping the one based off his main rival since they're so heavily entwined. For crying out loud, it is an assist trophy in Smash. So here are the fun alts I found for Ike from Fire Emblem Heroes. We have this flowery one, I think. I don't know. We have purple aura farming one. That one's really sick. We have Royal Knight, Holy Knight. I don't know. I like the blue accents. And we have Desert Ike. That is what it was actually called. It's like Desert Ike. And it's like, huh, fun. And Pokemon Trainer. Oh boy, Pokemon Trainer. Here's the issue when discussing this, is you have 4 characters to talk about. While 3 are only playable, Pokemon Trainer in the background does have different alternate outfits. So I'm going to go through all of them first. I'm going to say what works, what doesn't work, and what they should have done. It is right there in front of them. So based off of Gen 1, we have the main trio of Squirtle, Ivysaur, Charizard. Based off of the Gen 1 stars, of course, with their trainer Red. They have an alternate outfit with Leaf, the Fire Red Leaf Green girl character, and her Pokemon are what looks to be like a Gen 2 styled Ivysaur, a Squirtle colored after War Turtle, and a Charizard colored after Charmeleon. Then moving onwards, the outfits alternate between the male and female from the following games of Gen 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and just 7. Didn't get to 8. 8 was not out during Smash Ultimate yet. So we have Ethan or Gold with a Ivysaur that seems to be colored after a Bulbasaur, bit of a stretch, and then a Squirtle that looks shiny with a Smash Original Charizard. Then we have May from Emerald with completely Smash Original versions of Pokemon. We have Lucas from Diamond and Pearl with a shiny Ivysaur, a Gen 2 styled Squirtle, and a what looks to be based off of shiny Charmeleon with gold. Then we have Hilda from Black and White with a Gen 1 colored sprite. I believe this was from when you played Pokemon Red and Blue on the Game Boy Player, or Pokemon Stadium on N64. Very specific, I know. And then Charizard is colored after Aerodactyl, sure. We have Callum from X and Y. The only costume that seems to have a reference is Charizard with a Zubat Golbat. And lastly, Celine, I think that's her name, with a Charizard based off of his original Gen 2 shiny. I love what they did with the trainers. Referencing all of the games that were out as of the time that this game came out, I think is phenomenal. I love the outfits, I love the different color schemes, but my god, missed potential on the Pokemon. Pokemon games come out in sets of 3. Most of time related to colors. I think you see where I'm going. You just take the color schemes from the games. The Pokemon trainer itself you could keep completely intact and no one would argue, but just take the color schemes. For Leaf, give the shiniest, please. Then, moving forward, you just take the games they're from. Even or Gold, we have Gold, Silver, Crystal. Put those on Ivysaur, Squirtle, and Charizard, you're fine. Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, mix up the colors. Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, put them on the Pokemon. Black, White, while there is no sequel, there is Kyurem, who's meant to be gray. Now we run into XY, and then there's no other game, but that would be Z for Zygarde. Again, a red, blue, and green color combo. You would just switch up the colors. Lastly, you have Sun and Moon with this like orange, a violet, and another black, since there's also black from Pokemon Black. And would you look at that? You have fun colors. You could make extra references. Maybe you took the violet from Moon and put it on Charizard to reference the original Gen 2 sprite. Or you put gold on Charizard for Gen 2 and reference Shiny Charmander and Charmeleon. You could have extra references on top, but this alone adds so much more spice to Pokemon Trainer that is just lacking. Again, I love what they did with the actual Pokemon Trainers ults themselves, but the Pokemon are so bad. Next up is Diddy Kong, and these ults are pretty good. We have his normal outfit, one based off the versus competitive mode from Donkey Kong Country, one based off Dixie Kong, who is his girlfriend, one based off Donkey Kong Country 2's competitive mode, one based off one of the multiplayer ults of Donkey Kong 64, one based off of Baby Kong. It's not Baby Kong. You're not Baby Kong. What's your name? Tiny? No, not Tiny. You're not Tiny. That one from Donkey Kong Country 3, who basically replaced Diddy. One based off a real chimp, and one based off Donkey Kong Jr. I think, again, these are phenomenal. Replace the one with real life, and give us basically Super DK, but it's just Diddy instead, because that's also something that exists. I don't actually know if it has its proper name, but just Super Diddy Kong. Next is Lucas, and almost perfect in my opinion. We have Lucas' standard attire, one based off Klaus, his twin brother, two Smash originals, one based off Maskman, one based off of, I don't even pretend I remember his name, one based off Boney, and one based off of a baby little dragon. Well, personally, they could have altered the baby dragon outfit a bit. I think it's fine. I'm not gonna harp on it too much. It's one of those, like, little cute references, kind of like the tiles that Ness has, so I'm gonna leave it. But I am getting rid of Smash Originals, replacing it with two other characters that definitely should get ults. Your other party member in Mother 3, and your mother from Mother 3. If you know, you know. Sonic. Sonic is interesting because I absolutely hate the ults, but in more modern games, Sonic is now actually getting alternate outfits within the games. I could take that as inspiration and have different outfits. Or we go with what they're going with. Most of these ults are relatively Smash original, basically referencing the Chaos Emeralds at best, except we have a classic Sonic and Silver inspired skin. Reference the rest of the hedgehogs in his franchise. Shadow's right there. He has a model in the game, for crying out loud. Amy, Metal Sonic. We have Darkspine Sonic from Secret Rings, a Nintendo exclusive Sonic game, for crying out loud. And lastly, another crossover reference from Lost World. There was DLC based off of Skyward Sword with an open world level. It was way before Frontiers at that. And he's wearing Link's iconic tunic. I think that'd be a fun extra alt to throw in there. But like, such missed potential. The entirety of Sonic's representation in Smash is absolutely missed potential, and that is a whole other debate and topic for another day. King DDD actually is interesting because I think DDD doesn't have outfits, but just gets redesigned like every game. So it feels like DDD has a lot of designs, but outfit-wise, it's the same one. So we have his standard attire, one based off one of the alternate outfits you could find in Kirby 64, one based off one of his alts in Air Ride, another based off an alt in Air Ride, a Smash original, one based off of the Game Boy screen, another one based off an alt in 64, and another one based off an alt in Air Ride, also a real-life penguin. I'm going to keep one from Kirby 64 and one from Air Ride. Also, they have fun patterns that I like. Well, I'm also going to reference the original Game Boy Color palette because it does match with Kirby. Instead, DDD has had many boss appearances, and in Kirby games, a lot of bosses end up having some form of extra version with a recolor. And while Forgotten Land has some fun alts, that was developed seemingly way after Ultimate, so it wouldn't be in the conversation for this. I can't excuse it like I could with some of the previous ones. But we have Dark or Shadow DDD. I believe this is Dark DDD. Then Parallel DDD. DDD, I think it's just EX DDD. He's had purple attire in a few games. And I know it's in his final Smash, but if Little Mac has every entrance have him remove his little jacket, but like 4 of his alts he still has it, I think it's fine if DDD has a mask on for one of his alts. It's iconic. So Olimar has 4 alts to himself and 4 shared with Alf, the captain of Pikmin 3. And funny enough, I actually like all of Alf's, but not all of Olimar's. It's funny how it works out. For Olimar, we have his standard appearance. Then we have 3 originals, which seem to maybe be based off of like real life outfits that some astronauts might wear or something. I'm not sure. Then we have the captains, of course, from Pikmin 3, Alpha, Charlie, and Brittany. And another one based off of Olimar. And while I usually would say this is just dumb, I actually really like it because, as you can see with the artwork, Olimar's outfit tends to vary a bit from game to game, either it being a very yellow or a lot more saturated going on to white. So kind of referencing both with the variants between those two alts, I really like that. So I'm only getting rid of the Smash originals and replacing them with references to Louis, the president, another playable person in Pikmin 2, and Olimar's wife. Next is Lucario, who has actually all Smash originals, and I can't make this up. While you could argue some of these are based off of things, no, they're not. They truly aren't. There's all these Lucario's standard appearance, so they're all going away. We are making Lucario from the ground up in this instance, and I'm so happy about that. For one, the Shiny. Why? Why is it not one of the alt selection? Next, while it showed up in Pokemon Unite, it is very common to associate Lucario with the Aura Guardian and the character. I don't remember the name. This is an alt that perfectly depicts the idea that I would like to go with in Smash. And lastly, in Pokken, Lucario's Player 2 outfit is a red, which got some decent merch for, so I think it's okay to have that as an alt as well. And while again, this is the same logic as like DDD, if he can have, you know, in Little Mac, like, I think Meg Lucario's fine as a separate alt because it looks cool and it's close enough to where I don't think it's that much of a work. Again, model does exist. Then you could have the Shiny, a red one. This doesn't exist yet, but could. And lastly, because Pokemon Unite has a lot of fun alts, this one seems to be most popular from what I could see, and this is like an Egyptian-inspired Lucario. Next is Rob. Somehow has references for all of his alts, which I didn't realize. So, fun fact, if this was any other region, I would be having his second alt first, because in regions that are in America, his Famicom alt is the default, while the NES is the second. But in like America, where we did get the NES version of Rob, the gray alt is the one we get. All that to say, we have his NES design and his Famicom design. Then we have 2 based off enemies from games Rob was compatible with, 1 based off of the signature Violet GameCube, 1 based off one of the enemy Robs from Subspace, 1 based off of what seems to be one of the fun colors of the SP, and 1 based off the Virtual Boy. As much as I love the Brawl reference, there's such a better one, and while I do like referencing Rob's games, he is still a piece of tech in like real life hardware, so I'd like to reference other hardware. I know it's weird because he does have games, but like, do they really count if he's just a controller? For alts, 1, the Ancient Minister is just a Rob. Spoiler alert for like a decade-old game. It's just a Rob. It is the Rob you end up playing as. Having a color scheme based off of this, or heck, go as far as to give this just like functioning moves and be it just another costume, like that'd be awesome, but I doubt it. That's your Subspace reference right there. Don't give us one of those thousands of Rob enemies you end up fighting. And then get some color schemes from the other consoles. Nintendo Switch has a very distinct color scheme with a blue and red usually associated with it, so I like to see that because you could have a primarily black Rob with blue, like the sign and the red accents. Ooh, chef's kiss. Game Boy could have that green. And the Wii U, while it's all black again, The blue would very much highlight it some places. And yeah, I think Rob just referencing the hardware of Nintendo is all it has to be, because that's all it really is. Its moveset covers its game functionality with the little top, and its turning. Like, you don't need to reference the games themselves because they barely had substance to begin with. That's just my take. Next is Toon Link. And, you know, while all the Links kind of share the monochromatic tunic colors, this is the one time it works because of Four Swords. Link, you have his standard, you know, Wind Waker design, then the red, blue, and purple from Four Swords, which has that Wind Waker art style. Then you have one based off his original NES design, one based off Dark Link, one based off of what he would look like if he was holding one of the items. Again, it's another one of those like ring things. And one based off what looks to be the art from, I think it's A Link to the Past. Well, they do reference stuff. Wind Waker Link, like this design, this art style, has its own unique like outfits and stuff they could be referencing. I don't get why they chose not to. Like, it just seems weird that they're referencing other parts of the franchise when normal Link and Young Link could very much fill that void, since you have 3 Links. Like, you could reference specific things with some of them, that's all I'm saying. In this case, from Spirit Tracks, we have his little conductor outfit. And I mean, again, the model literally exists. It is in a stage in the game. And then lastly, Triforce Heroes was an interesting game because it was, again, costume-based. So you could pull costumes from there. I'm not saying full-on take the costume, but like a pink one inspired by the, I believe it's called the pom-pom outfit. I also think it's the first outfit like unlockable in the game, which is why I put it. Honestly, most of the outfits would do. And there are a few that do reference other Nintendo properties. This one references the Hammer Bro from Mario. I just think it'd be fun. Again, that crossover reference is always something nice and hard to find. So there's a canon one. I think I might as well take the opportunity and use it. And Wolf. Surprisingly enough, I think Wolf has had more like redesigns than the other Star Fox characters, and he's appeared in like half as many games. So we have Wolf's standard appearance from like Star Fox Zero. He has like other alt outfits. I believe this is like Starlink. Then we have one based off of one of Star Wolf's comrades. We have a blue one from one of his other player options if you play the multiplayer mode of Star Fox Assault, and a green one from the same reason. Smash Original, one based off his Star Fox 2 design, and one based off the last member of Star Wolf. Actually, you're missing one. For crying out loud, why is there Smash Original? Give us another, like, a green fur, and like, this purple. Just, come on. Now, Villager's interesting because it's just meant to be the protagonist and main character, which is your customizable character within Animal Crossing. Now, there are a few pre-made villagers, as you can see on the cover of City Folk, which is where this design comes from, then the one from Wild World, another one from City Folk, I believe is a different artwork, and another one which is more just a, like, based on. But at the end of the day, all of the villagers are meant to just be customizable characters. They're blank tablets. They have clothing from the games themselves. Like, it perfectly captures Animal Crossing. While it'd be fun to maybe reference more art pieces or have a character with like the classic like cone hat from the first game, as it stands, it is perfectly fine and does exactly what it needs to reference Animal Crossing. Next is Megaman. Probably one of the characters I was most excited for when Smash 4 was actually coming out. Now we have his traditional design based off Mega Man 1 and like, well, the classic series. Then we have Super Mega Man when he combines with Rush and a few other abilities, as a lot of those older NES games actually use similar color palettes. I know a lot of different early Mega Man games had that same sort of color scheme for a lot of abilities. So while there are specific images that I have attached to be like, oh yeah, this is the ability I got from, technically speaking, there's more references to it, and all of them actually do reference a move that is in Mega Man's arsenal. So the Leaf Shield, of course, the Metal Blade, the Skull Barrier, I was gonna say Air Slash. I forgot what it's called. What is it? Flame Shield? That's not Flame Shield. Flame Burst or something? Long story short, they reference a ton of different forms Mega Man has taken throughout his series. And while you could be saying, like, oh, what about, like, references to X or Battle Network? This is meant to specifically be classic Mega Man. And if the final Smash depicts the rest, I'm saying that's good. I'm saying this is a perfect encapsulation of that OG Mega Man, and we can save the references for the other parts of the franchise for potential version of Mega Man X as playable. You know, like, it's not... This is just classic Mega Man and nothing else. And I respect that. Next is Wii Fit. Now, Wii Fit has only really had 2 designs throughout the history of the franchise. That being the typical blue, which appeared in the Wii version. And then in Wii Fit U and Plus, they had green instead. There's the female and male counterparts, of course, which is where the costumes take inspiration from. But there are categories within the games, that being aerobics, which is depicted with the color red, and yoga depicted with the color yellow, which is where you could see the red and yellow outfits respectively. I couldn't find any images. To my understanding, they do actually appear in these colors in those modes somewhere, as I saw a lot of information saying that was the case. I just no image to go with it. That being said, it literally is all outfits they wear. I like that it's one each, and it's not necessarily like, oh yeah, only red for the male. Everyone has the color. It's nice. It's nice. It's equality. I like equality. Next is Rosalina and Luma. We've had a really strong track record, so it was about time we had one that wasn't. Rosalina only has 3 alts that actually depict something. Her standard attire, of course. 3 that are just non-existent. Fire Rosalina from 3D World. 2 more non-existent ones, and 1 based off Peach's NES sprite. So we're getting rid of almost all of them. Yeah, no, I don't know why they lack the reference material, because they have it, as you can see here. For one, in Mario Galaxy 2, Rosalina appears as this, like, cosmic entity being, a little guide that helps you. Then in 3D World, there are other power-ups that actually switch her outfit. There's Cat Rosalina, Tanuki, and the Super Tanuki Leaf, which is just a white version. Those are all great inspirations for her outfit. In Mario Kart World, we get to see this fun little witch outfit that I know a lot of people really like. That could be inspiration for a purple dress. And lastly, if you inverse the colors after normal one, you get her biker attire. One that I've seen so many people talk about. Oh my god. Everyone loves her in that tracksuit. It is crazy. Next is Little Mac. While a lot of people don't talk about Punch-Out, actually has a lot of variety in his outfits, especially with the Wii version. Speaking of which, we have his standard appearance from the Wii version, then we have one from, I believe, Title Defense. We have his classic NES appearance where he had all white instead, one from his minor circuit appearance, one based off his SNES appearance, one based off of his iconic hoodie from the training sequence, one based off the arcade version where he was all wireframes to see through him, and one which is a mix of the wireframe and hoodie alt, inversing the colors. Since that one is just a new alt, taking 2 of the fun ones that were put in and making it like a Smash original, I'm getting rid of it to reference instead another costume that he actually had in Smash 4 that was removed, that references another outfit he wore in the Wii game. Next is Greninja, and while I want to absolutely tear into the fact that they could have done so much, I'm going to keep it simple with this one. So we have Greninja, one based off of Crawdont. While it may seem weird, they actually share the typing of Water Dark. Then there's Lickitung, they share the big tongue. Shiny Greninja, kinda, it's a bit of a stretch, but you know what? We take what we can get. Smash Original and one based off Politoed. That is also another frog Pokemon. And then 2 more Smash Originals. I'm getting rid of the Smash Originals, and I'm going to follow the trend that the other alts are going for, and that's having Pokemon that correlate back to Greninja. He's a frog, Water Dark type, big tongue. So I took that as inspiration for where I'm getting the rest of the alts. For one, when Gyarados Mega evolves, it becomes part Dark type. A lighter blue with red accents and yellow for like the tongue to represent the fins would be so sick. And again, Water Dark, another Water Dark type. And while people don't realize, Croagunk is based off of a frog. And the more violet with the orange highlights would be really cool. Another fun alt. And lastly, it is a model in the game. I don't care what you say. Ash Greninja should have been an alt. It's not that different to warrant its exclusion. It's so popular. It should be here. I know Pokemon Company is basically trying to pretend it doesn't exist, but Smash Brothers does what Nintendo doesn't, and that is actually take care of these characters and look at their history. Next is Palutena. And funny enough, Palutena I think has more inspiration than Pit does in like alternate outfits. Pretty funny when you think about it. So we have her standard appearance in Uprising, then one based off of her original sprite in the NES game, one based off of Pandora, like her humanoid appearance, one based off of Palutena's little cameo in the guide and manual from the original game, which has this like green-yellow, it's it is one of those things where it's like, depending how you look at it, you could see like two colors. A Smash original, one based off of Reedy, one based off Dark Pit, and one based off of Medusa. I'm getting rid of the Dark Pit one because I had this whole debate in the last video, so we're, again, Dark Pit, character we don't need it all based off of. But the Smash original seems a bit weird. It actually might not be, but its shade of blue is too specific. Instead, both the original NES and the Game Boy game have exclusive artwork, very hard to find artwork at that, of Palutena. We have this one depicting her with a cyan and yellow, big shield at that. That is from the NES. And then we have this black and white one from the Game Boy game of Myths and Monsters. Well, I don't know if that's meant to just be like, because it's Game Boy, it's black and white, or if it's actually what they wanted her to look like in that game. Regardless, those are two unique designs for her that she had in the past. The fact that they didn't take it seems a bit weird, especially since they already referenced the NES sprite. Next is Pac-Man, who doesn't actually have inspiration. We have his standard appearance, one of his many humanoid appearances, probably the best one, and the rest of his alts have these weird, like, I don't know what they are, just like something around his wrist and shoes, and they reference his little Pegasus shoes upgrade from, Pac-Land. That's not what they looked like, of course, and his last alt is just oven mitts. We're making this one up from the ground up because the fumble, the absolute fumble on Pac-Man's alts, it is an understatement. Instead, Pac-Man has been shown to have many characters that have similar characteristics or features to him, as well as just he himself has worn hats and stuff in the past. Why weren't those the alts? We have, of course, his appearance in Pac-Land. Then we have his son, Junior. I would put Miss Pac-Man, but the reason Miss Pac-Man isn't featured and all that, and the reason why she's excluded from Repack is actually because a different company owns the rights to Miss Pac-Man. It is a whole story that I'm not going to explain, but yes, Namco doesn't actually own Miss Pac-Man. So we're going to take Discount Miss Pac-Man over here, and Baby Pac, Sister Pac, I don't know her exact name. There's Professor Pac, this superhero Pac-Man with a little cape and blue all around, and then this fun artwork of Pac-Man with headphones. I see a lot of people talk about it, but I don't actually know the source of this artwork. I just know it is apparently official. Next is Robin, and Robin's interesting because, well, the alts depict characters that may or may not be important based on the decisions you make. So, it's a little weird to say. But we have the male counterpart of Robin, the female counterpart of Robin, one based off of this one dude from a different Fire Emblem game, one based off a person that's actually in Awakening, two more which I think they're not in Awakening either. Again, the references are very weird with this one. One, which I'm pretty sure is Smash Original, but many sources are saying it is based off of the White Mage from Final Fantasy. I call bull because I don't think Nintendo would even come close to referencing that. I don't care what Sakurai's doing, he's not referencing Final Fantasy if it ain't Cloud or Sephiroth. So that, I don't think is true, but I'm going to say it is for the sake of, yeah, there is technically a reference. And another character. So again, we're getting rid of all this and taking from the character's actual alts existing in other forms of media. That being our fun, favorite gacha game, Fire Emblem Heroes. Now, there are different approaches you could take. For one, you could have all of them have matching colors like Wii Fit Trainer did. So, as you can see, they have alts in Heroes that are identical between them. But they also have some unique ones, of course, which I think would be fun for other alts. So, across the board, all the alts actually do look really good. I really love the last alt of Female Robin. I think it's really cute. And this holiday one of the Male Robin, also fun with the Christmas tree sword. But overall, a lot of potential here from Heroes. Like all the other Fire Emblem characters, thanks to Smash, they are popular, and we can use that to our advantage. Next is Shulk, and cool boy. So we have Shulk's standard appearance, and then the rest of the party from the game. Like, this is actually all the playable characters and party members you unlock throughout the main story. Mecha Fiora, Dunban, Ryan, Charla, Melia, and Ricky, as well as a fun reference to when Shulk is not wearing any armor or clothes, or the beach outfit, if you want to consider it that, and that's his little swim trunks. Usually, I would say, why did they not reference the dozens of different armor sets that Shulk actually wears throughout the game? Well, I'm actually gonna not do that and say this is perfect. Referencing the entire cast with colors, some of which sort of reference armor, and I mean, A lot of the armor is very much similar colors. Like, it's a tough challenge working with those designs. I get that. But they did cover all their bases with Xenoblade here, so like, it's so hard to sit here and actually truly be mad when it's honestly perfect. I'm not going to change anything. And then here we have the best alt selection in the entire game. I don't think I need to explain this. Bowser Jr., who can switch between any of the extra Koopalings, which makes a perfect 8. What more do I need to say than this is actually the best alt selection, because they're all different characters for crying out loud. Like, how could you not be happy about this? And Duck Hunt technically doesn't have any references, except the last one, which might be a reference to Banjo and Kazooie. Maybe. Might be a bit of a stretch, but some places do say it is related to Banjo-Kazooie. Now, the dog itself doesn't have any alternate versions in any form of media whatsoever. It's just the standard orangish dog. So all the other alt colors are different breeds of dogs. And the bird, while there's about 3 colors, which are all represented throughout the alts, the rest are all based off real birds. Now, I could have gone and said, what if they based all of these off of famous Nintendo and or video game dogs and birds? That's a bit of a stretch, so I'm going to say this is fine. They are meant to just be a plain dog and duck combo. I don't see why they would go so far out with the reference, leaving them as just fun colorations referencing different dog breeds and different versions of ducks and or birds. I'm okay with that. They're fun alts, they're simple. I see no reason to actually go the extra mile. This is fine for what Duck Hunt is. Now, onto the DLC characters from Smash 4. First up is Ryu from Street Fighter, and Street Fighter has a ton of different alternate costumes, and they just took a ton of alternate costumes. You have his standard appearance, one of his many appearances from Street Fighter 2. We have one that seems to be based off his classic appearance, but I do wish his hair was a different color to fully get that reference. And then the rest are alts from Street Fighter 2, except the last one, which is from Street Fighter 8, which I believe was the latest at the time this game came out. So yeah, it's perfect. No reason to change anything. And Ken also follows a similar thing where actually 6 of the alts come from Street Fighter 2, and the last one comes from Street Fighter 3 instead. Another perfect. Cloud is interesting since technically there's actually 3 costumes here. Weird. I'll go through it one by one. We have his standard appearance from the original Final Fantasy VII, and then one based off his appearance in the movie Final Fantasy VII Advent Children. If Sakurai ever says again he doesn't reference things that aren't from the video games, that's a lie. Then we have 2 blue ones that seem to be based off the guard uniforms found throughout the Final Fantasy series, specifically 7, of course, and Cloud is supposed to be a guard, so like it makes sense. Then in a different game, Cloud has a player 2 equivalent because it's like a fighting game, and he has this red alt. Next is that third alt I was talking about. During Advent Children, there's a fight, and he loses his second sleeve, revealing a red ribbon referencing Aerith, as she is long gone at this point in the story, and that's what this alt actually is. Then a Smash original, and another one based off of one of his alts that is based off his Advent Children design. It's very specific, but does exist. So there are more alternate outfits that Cloud has throughout the series that they could have taken inspiration from, so I'm gonna say the ones that are referencing things that he technically did or didn't wear, we're getting rid of. Instead, there are some designs they could take inspiration from. For one, Kingdom Hearts has its own unique version of Cloud. Well, I'm not saying to take the Kingdom Hearts Cloud, they could at least take inspiration, because this itself takes inspiration from another game which features Cloud. Then, in Final Fantasy VII, there is a part where Cloud is in a dress. You don't have to put him in a dress, but giving him an alt with that color scheme to reference that fact would be fun. And lastly, in Final Fantasy VII, the remake, there are alt selections, of course, and one of them is this beautiful, what is called Lethal Cloud, and God, is it just such a beautiful alt. I had to throw it in here. Next is Corrin, and Corrin from Fire Emblem Fates, a game which, to my understanding, the Fire Emblem community doesn't like, is interesting since it's a dual release. We have Corrin's male appearance and female appearance, one based off of one of the characters in that game, 2 Smash originals, one based off the allied troops in one of the Fates games, it's weird, one based off the general allied characters, and one based off of a 10-year anniversary version of Corrin, which is depicting Corrin in allegiance with one of the 2 families. I'm getting rid of the rest and just sticking with the allegiance idea. For crying out loud, Fire Emblem Warriors literally gives us the alts that we're missing. Here is male Corrin with his allegiance to one of the families, female Corrin with the allegiance to the other, the male Corrin and association. And since there's only two families, there's not really a neutral one. the neutral one is the one their normal one, I guess. So instead, here are two fun alts from Warriors, because again, they're popular. And lastly, Bayonetta. What I didn't realize was Bayonetta actually appeared in other games with alts. The more you know. So, Bayonetta is one of the characters who has appearances based off of different game incarnations. Her main appearance is based off Bayonetta 2, and her other one is based off her original design in Bayonetta 1. Then we have a yellow alt and a green alt, both of which are in this game she appears in. I have known nothing about this game except Bayonetta is in it, and that's fun. Then we have one based off of her friend, specifically her Bayonetta 2 design. Her design doesn't change as much as Bayonetta's between games, but it is specifically her Bayonetta 2 design that they looked at, and her name is John. We have one based off of Bayonetta and Bayonetta 1, specifically when she sees herself as like a child early on in the game. One based off of like a trophy that you get for just doing good in the Bayonetta games, and another alt based off of that other game. Again, know nothing about this, but she also appears in Blue Alt. I was gonna say this is fine. While referencing another character is one of those things that is hit or miss with me, and the silver one, while it is a bit of a stretch, I'm okay with. They missed such a good opportunity here, because when Nintendo helped fund Bayonetta, we got some amazing, and I mean amazing alternate outfits where Bayonetta was in Peach, Samus, and Link's outfits. I'm saying we give those 2 slots to Bayonetta's Peach outfit and Bayonetta's Samus outfit. It is a cross-reference that is from her own games. They're just fun outfits to begin with. Like, I know it's a bit extra work. God, do I love them so much. I just think they're so much fun. And the fact that in the games themselves, like, the Peach dress, when she uses her attack, summons Bowser hands and arms instead of the standard demon. Like, it's the fun little things like that that makes Bayonetta such a character that people love. Our first newcomer was Inkling. Specifically, Inkling Girl and Boy. They're just called Inkling. But they're based from Splatoon, specifically Splatoon 1. And we have just the standard female appearance, male appearance, Agent 3. The next 3 are based off of various artwork from Splatoon 1, where they had these different costumes and color combos. Then we have one based off the Amiibo outfit. I believe this is the Inkling Girl outfit. It is the schoolwear. And lastly, one of just standard cosmetics you can find throughout the Splatoon games. Now, I'm going to get rid of the ones from the Splatoon 1 art pieces, because there's other material that could be referenced that I feel is more important. And the last one is basically Smash Original. It's just taking pieces of outfits from just the Splatoon games and not necessarily one from an art piece. So it lacks any real source. What I'm taking instead is the Splatoon 2 Girl and Boy, as both of them have special designs. And while you could still keep the original one's hair, you just replace the color and the outfits to match. Then the Salmon Run uniform. It was a big part of Splatoon 2 and 3. And you know, Salmon Run, it's just one of those things where it has a special outfit. I think it'd be fun to reference that. And lastly, while we don't need an Octarian, I would like to reference the either AG8 or Octarian-based outfits. That would be just a fun reference to what is definitely going to be a clone in the next game. Let's just be honest. Next is Ridley. Ridley's appearance actually comes from Super Metroid, but it takes hints and cues from other M. So it's sort of Smash Original, but it is based off of primarily the Super Nintendo design. Then we have Meta Ridley from Prime, one based off his NES box art, Super Ridley. I don't know what that one's called actually off the top of my head. We have one from the Super Metroid art pieces, one based off his original NES sprite, one based off of the gold statues you could find with the various bosses in Super Metroid, and Mecha Ridley. While all of them do have a source, I think having one based off a statue and not an actual form is kind of lame. So instead, we are taking just other M Ridley, because it is a unique design, and it was in Smash 4 at that. Next is Simon Belmont from Castlevania. Simon, being kind of the OG, has a lot of different versions, including his standard appearance that we see in a ton of games, one from the box art of the American version. Then we have the Castlevania 4's box art, specifically America, one from Vampire Killer, which is Castlevania with a different name. one based off the Japan art piece from Castlevania 4, one based off of another character in the franchise I don't remember, one based off the NES sprite, and one based off of an evil version of a different character. So we're getting rid of the two that aren't Simon and instead taking two other appearances of Simon. We have this much more modern appearance of this white and black, and one from Castlevania 4 where he has this fun color scheme in-game as the sprite. Now we have a full thing that references a ton of Simon's history. And next is Richter. Richter Belmont doesn't have as many unique outfits. They actually are they keep his outfits very samey throughout the franchise, but he does reference a ton of other characters, specifically Belmonts. We have this Belmont, one of the villains, a character who's not a Belmont but a playable character, Julius Belmont, one based off of one of Richter's other designs. Then we have Alucard, a very close character to Richter, and I know this one. I know this one's name. I don't remember right now. I think we're going to go all in and reference the rest of the Belmont family. I think it's just more fun that way to have Richter himself all of his alts reference other Belmonts that are playable in the franchise. I will keep Alucard, though, just because not only is Alucard playable in some games, but is just such a fan favorite and important character alongside his connection to Richter. I think that all's fine. So we have two more. One that is in like all the Castlevania like lore and mythos. And then we have one of the only two girl Belmonts, and I don't even know if she is canon, but she does exist. Julia, I think is her name. King K. Rool. All of his alts are based off the Kremlings. So he has a standard alt, and then just the rest are different variants of Kremlings we've seen throughout the franchise, with the last one being based off the final boss of Tropical Freeze. And K. Rool, of course, was the original final boss of the Donkey Kong series, so it's fun referencing the modern ones. That's fine. I think all of his alts referencing the Kremlings are great. And the last one sort of maybe references one. Technically looks like if there was a Super K. Rool, which is, I think, also fun to think about, but referencing the final boss of a more modern game is also fun, so yeah. And next is Isabelle. Isabelle from Animal Crossing New Leaf specifically, because New Horizons was in production at this time. I don't know how far in production it was. Just throwing that out there. So for standard New Leaf design, her autumn, winter design, one based off her casual wear and Happy Home designer, one based off of the Happy Home Academy and their outfits, specifically how her brother looks, of course. A Smash Original, one based off Tom Nook's appearance in New Leaf, one based off of one of the various holiday wares that she has, and another Smash Original. So we're getting rid of the two Smash Originals, I think the rest are fine, and instead replacing it with her New Horizons default appearance, which I assume they already had at this point, and from the mobile game, the 10th or 5th anniversary, I don't know, it was a big anniversary, and this is the outfit she had, a little suit. I think it's adorable. We should have it in the game. Next is Incineroar. Oh boy. So we have a Incineroar standard appearance, a green Smash Original, one based off Litten, who is primarily black, a blue alt, which I really like, but it's also Smash Original, one that is said to be based off Infernape, but I don't see it. There's a purple cat one that many sources say is Big the Cat. I don't think they're referencing Big the Cat with Incineroar, but apparently that's the reference. A black alt and one based off the shiny. So I'm getting rid of almost all of them. I'm keeping the Litten and the shiny one. You might be wondering why I'm getting rid of the Infernape one as well. Why not just reference other cats in the franchise? Greninja did the whole thing of referencing frogs or similar type. I feel scratch the Infernape one and just reference the plethora of cats you have. Purloin, Glameow, Meowth, who is the most famous cat, Zeraora, who is cat-like, and Suicune, which I know a lot of people call the legendary beasts and dogs. They're supposed to be cats. I do get that. I still call them dogs because I think it's a better term. And for the DLC fighters. So the DLC fighters, insane selection here, but they also have so many references. This is probably going to be a very quick section. Piranha Plant, of course, references just Piranha Plants throughout the franchise. We have the normal Piranha Plant, the NES art version. One based off the Happy Piranha Plant from the Princess Peach game. One based off of the ones in 3D World. Nanky Piranha Plant, Skeleton Piranha Plant, the spiky ones from Galaxy, and one based off the underground version you'd find at the original NES. Again, perfect. They all reference different Piranha Plants, and you can only really... How could you mess up Piranha Plant? I mean, it's already the best character in the game. Next is Joker from Persona 5. And while as much as I want to just kind of talk about Persona now, I will just do my best to focus. So we have his standard appearance as Joker, and then the next four based off the kind of color scheme of the different games. We have the original Persona, which had this like purple, the blue for Persona 3, the yellow for 4, and of course the red for 5. Then we have an alt based off of Crow, specifically Akechi, who, God, I hate that of all the characters they had to reference, they referenced the worst one. Yes, I will slander Akechi. Then his school attire, and one that seems to be based either on his casual wear or the rival or other school that we actually see in the game's attire, which has a white outfit. So we're getting rid of the color scheme ones. While it's fun theming, you could take more references from Persona 5 itself. I know they want to cover more of the franchise, but like, it's a little weird, in my opinion. Like, I get what they were going for, but I feel like they should have focused on Persona 5, because that's Joker's game. For alts, we have his dancing in, what is it, Moonlight, Starlight appearance, which is different and fun. Then the two other members of the Phantom Thieves in the base game that have more colors than just black, because most of the Phantom Thieves share a very dark, similar color palette. But Panther, On, and Haru, they both have more colors on them, so I picked them. And lastly, to go back to the whole kind of going with the thematics of each game, I think having like a black and white Joker that is fully like the different ways we'd see it stylized in Persona would be sick. With the only color that would pop would be red eyes. Everything else would be black and white, just like we'd see in the various art pieces and animations for the game. Like, that is how you follow the aesthetic. Next is Hero from Dragon Quest, and while Hero isn't the name, they are heroes. I think it's a little weird that they're called Hero to begin with, but I think that's more so just a fact of the West not really caring much for Dragon Quest. But they do reference mostly the main characters from the Dragon Quest games. We have the one from 11, 2, 4, 3, or no, that's 8. A side character in one of the games, the one from 5, the one from the OG, and another side character. Instead of the side characters, let's take the actual heroes from those games, which are 7 and 6 respectively, so all the alts would be referencing a different main character from the games. I was weird to me that they referenced the side characters to begin with and not the main ones, but that's neither here nor there. Banjo-Kazooie! We have Banjo-Kazooie standard design, one based off Mumbo Jumbo, and it's a little weird. Some of the alts are like separate, but some of them, they work together. Like, for example, this Kazooie, technically this Kazooie is based off like one of the multiplayer ones, but it does match with the Mumbo Jumbo thing. So it's meant to fully complete Mumbo Jumbo's color scheme. But for the next one, we have Banjo, who's specifically based off bottles, and Kazooie based off this one bird. Then we have the next one based off Tui. It's hard to tell with this image, but it is supposed to be more reddish brown, and Tui herself is more reddish brown. Then we have one based off of a polar bear. This next one has a yellow Banjo, which is based off of a multiplayer mode Banjo, and then Kazooie's based off this pterodactyl. Then the next, I think this is really fun. The colors of Banjo-Kazooie are the colors from the actual logo, where Banjo is depicted with a blue and Kazooie is depicted with a red. The last one is Gruntilda with the green, purple, and black. This is a perfect alt selection in my opinion. It references a ton of characters. It references their other alternates on top of that with some of them. So like, I think it's a perfect selection. It's great, no complaints. Terry Bogard. Just like Ryu and Ken, since they're fighting game character, they have a ton of alt to begin with, so they just took alts from the games. There's a blue alt, a brown alt, a green alt. This one based off like a more classic design. There's 2 black ones, and they do have differences. It's weird. And a yellow alt. Perfect. All the fighting game characters have this. Next is Byleth, the final Fire Emblem character, thank God, with the male appearance, female appearance. Then it's 3 houses, so there's 3 kind of routes in the game based off of 3 teams, if you will. There's the blue, red, and yellow. I don't remember the names of all the houses off the top of my head. But you reference the main characters related to each house, which I think is a really nice touch, which they should have done with Corrin. Then we have one based off Sophus, character heavily tied to Byleth. And on top of that, later in 3 houses, Byleth gets green hair after the time skip, so that's what the last alts are. Perfect selection all around. There are other outfits, technically, that Byleth could be wearing in the game or other games, but I like the fact that they actually reference all of what 3 houses have to offer. You have the different houses, Sophus's connection to Byleth, and then Byleth's only canonical other form appearance. And then Min from ARMS, because Springman was an assist trophy. They have her standard appearance. The next 3 are actually her alts in the game, so like they are spot on with that. Then we have one based off Ninjara, one that has the colors of the Dragon Arm, which is Min Min's signature, one based off of one of Ribbon Girl's alts, and one based off of the Hawk Arm. I don't remember what this one was called, but it looks cool. So I'm going to get rid of the last three only because two of them are based off a specific arm. One of them is one that she always has, and the other one is an alt of another character. I say instead we just reference other popular characters. Springman, Ribbon Girl, and Twin Tail are all very popular characters. Ones people were either hoping or expected in Smash. So I think referencing them in her alts, just like she has Ninjara as one of them, perfectly fine. Then we have Steve from Minecraft. I can make a lot of jokes here. Chicken jockey. That's all I have to say. There's not much to really say. It is Steve from Minecraft, Alex from Minecraft, Zombie, and Enderman, and then 4 alts from the console edition. Like, yeah, it's fine. There's only so much you could do. It is perfectly fine. Next is Sephiroth from Final Fantasy, and we have his standard appearance, one based off the guards from Final Fantasy VII, one of the bosses in Final Fantasy VII, his alt appearance, a Smash original, one based off of like a higher level guard, his final boss appearance where he's shirtless for some reason, another Smash original. So we're getting rid of the ones that aren't actual like Sephiroth alts, and instead we're going to just have inspiration from the various appearances of Sephiroth, plus a little fun. So we have his Kingdom Hearts design, which is actually very different, unlike Cloud's. Then young Sephiroth from, was it Crisis Core? Then in Final Fantasy VII, we have these like forms of Sephiroth. I'm not saying to have those specifically, but you could reference them. I feel with like the alt selection, like you take the shirtless alt, give the pants like a white, maybe the wing is now purple. The other one, make the wing like yellowish pants or grayish pants, like that work. And lastly, because I think this would be so funny, it's an alt where his outfit is based off of Aerith, the character he notoriously stabbed for the heart. You can make his whole outfit pink, his shoulder pads red, his hair brown, or his wing brown, and like you got her whole color palette. Like, it is one of the most evil, messed up things, but that is such a Sephiroth move if he's fighting Cloud to be like, yeah, I look like her. Next, we have Pyra and Mythra from Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and these characters are actually very heavily altered from their original appearance. If you look at the models, the figures that are like $400, that's the image I found. Their appearance is very different. They had to change them for ratings reasons, but it does appear in the game. Well, Mythra's does, Pyra's doesn't. So, it's weird, but like, I don't know, it's a weird like loophole. But that's their basic designs. We have one based off Numa, their final form, true form, combined form. Then we have one that is actually in the like challenge mode of the game. You get alts, and one of them makes Pyra look like Mythra, and Mythra look like Pyra. Then the next alt has Pyra in brown looking like how she did with her Gourmet disguise, and Mythra looking like Nia. Then we have the next one, which is supposed to be like evil, maybe references like Malos, but the colors very heavily correlate to Poppy Cutie Pie. The next blue and white seems to be referencing Rex's Salvager outfit and the blues with that. I believe this is just meant to reference salvaging as a whole, as that's Rex's whole thing early on. Then the next alt is a more vibrant version of their default color, and the last one's gold and silver. Might be a Pokemon reference, might not. Since the last two don't really have sources, I'm gonna get rid of them, and instead reference the last other party members, since we have an alt for Nia, and Poppy Cutie Pie could be that other alt, so there's your other party member. So you're just missing the last two, so have an alt for Zeke and Pandoria, and then another one for Morag and Bridget. Then you have all the party members just like how Shulk has. Next is Kazuya, and fighting game logic. All of his alts reference costumes and alts he's had in other games. You have his standard appearance, his suit appearance, his alts where he has red pants, and alts where he has a white suit, alts with blue pants, the purple tuxedo, one based off his son, and golden Kazuya. Kazuya. So yeah, perfect all around. Lastly, we have Sora from Kingdom Hearts. Still weird that I'm saying that he is in Smash Bros. After all this time. But we have his Kingdom Hearts 1 appearance, his 2 appearance, Dream Drop Distance, and 3, along with his Timeless River, Valor form, Wisdom form, and Master form. It is perfect. Sora has a ton of designs, of course, throughout the games and forms, so taking arguably the most iconic ones of his main forms from different games, one based off of the classic cartoons, because you can't reference the Disney ones, and the main forms that a lot of people have seen since they played Kingdom Hearts 2. Yeah, I think it's a perfect selection. While Anti-Form or something would have been cool, I think this is perfectly fine representing Kingdom Hearts. Hey, True Blue here, and if you've made it this far, you've either haven't seen those videos yet, or you want to rewatch them, whatever the case. Thank you all so much for getting through this video and supporting me. Since I started this little like sub-series of all these Smash ults, I passed 500 subscribers. This is like sort of the 500 sub special, I guess, this extra bit at the end here, but I'm just so grateful for the community I've created, for the people who've been supporting me, in the comments, the likes. Genuinely, I was not expecting this amount of love from these videos, and just the overall support I've been getting and actually hearing from people about why they like my content and not just a specific video truly warms my heart and has been making it so much more fun and enjoyable to create. I have a lot more ideas in the works. Don't expect the like every couple of days a new video. It's gonna go back to once a week for a bit because I have been grinding YouTube the last like 2 weeks. So there will be a bit of like a, you know, back to the 1 week formula for now. But again, I'm just so grateful for everyone who has supported me the last couple years, who's just been there for me. To my friends, of course, who've helped me out with YouTube. I know some people may say 500 isn't a lot, and I understand that, but for me, that is 500 people who want to support me in some way, shape, or form, and that means so much more than I could have ever asked out of anyone, like in my real own life. So I can't thank you all enough for the 500 subs. Maybe we'll reach 1,000 one day. I don't know. But I'm going to leave it all here because this video is long enough, being just 5 combined videos. But yeah, I'm going to wish you all a lovely day.